Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Lifting the Veil podcast with your host, myself, Adrienne Lopez, the Integrative Healing Coach. Thanks for joining me for soul healing conversations, guests, and topics that support you on unveiling the true nature of your consciousness so you can embrace your destiny and not suffer your fate. If you hear something here today that resonates with you, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and or subscribe, as it supports the growth and reach of this podcast by increasing our listenership, which makes this whole endeavor possible. We'll get started in just a minute with this week's guest, Chandra Bliss. So please sit back, relax, and get ready to listen to the wisdom and knowledge of our guest today. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Lifting the Veil podcast with your host, myself, Adrienne Lopez. And I am so excited today to have one of my favorite people as a guest this week. I was going to say Dr. Chandra Bliss. But before we get started, I just want to give a little bit of background on her so you can find out about what she does and what we're going to be talking about today. So I had the privilege of meeting Chandra, I don't even know how many years ago now, maybe 3 or 4. Yeah, and we've had an opportunity to do all sorts of fun things together. So I'm excited that she's here to be a guest on my podcast. So with that being said, Chandra is an amazing way shower to sovereignty seekers, self-healers, holistic health trailblazers on the inner journey of transforming their own body and mind, moving from resistance to inner bliss, using the transformative method of Spinal Decompression Yoga. Chandra guides clients to release the core neuromuscular pain and tension patterns that have kept them from being their real self and confidently doing the things that they love again. Her mission is clear: to guide her clients to rediscover how empowered they are when they reconnect back to the balance and harmony of their own nature, youthful flexibility, strength, and pure potential. And so she's a firm believer that health and vitality are the foundation of everything that we do in life. And that brings us to the foundation of our body, really, which is the spine. So before we get into that and all the wonderful work you do, I would like to find out a little bit about what brought you to this embodiment work that you're doing today.
My own pain.
That's a good guide. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually the guiding force, right? Yeah. It's the thing that gets us moving. And even if the pain is something that keeps us stiff and not moving, it still moves us towards solution. Yeah. Right. So I was a real estate investor for a while, and while I loved that because it was about creating beauty for people, homes for people, and beauty for people, it was quite, in many ways, it was a challenge, and with contractors and things. So trying to get all those projects done and make good on my note, with the bank and everybody who wanted all the money, right? At one point it became essentially impossible. And I was trying not to lose that business. And so I worked my tail off.
Your tailbone off. Mm-hmm.
You got that one. Yeah. I was completely out of balance. And from my spine and my mind, in every way, shape, or form.
Your nervous system. Yeah.
System was jacked. I literally worked. I'd get up at 7:30 in the morning. I'd start my day. I'd come home and go to bed at 11:30. I fed myself along the way, of course, but it was just working. For a year and a half, only one day off. on Thanksgiving. So, your body is going to react to that.
Yeah.
And so I got endometriosis.
Mm.
And along the way, at one point, trying to feel better, and my path for healing is not one of holistic healing and natural methods for coming back into harmony. And when you get so far down the line, there is a reason and a purpose for Western medical model, and I did use that.
Yes.
But along the way, I went to a yoga day with a girlfriend, all day long yoga. And at the very end of 8 hours of yoga, all of a sudden, all these blankets were shipped in and all these material. And we were looking at each other like, wow, what's going on? And then we start doing this practice. And we're like, literally look, our heads are down, or we're doing like this lunge, and we look over at each other and we're like, what's going on? Do you feel
Yeah.
this? So it tweaked, that was my introduction, but I was really deep in the process of disharmony in my body. So I didn't pursue it, but it was more or less like spirit planting the seed. And so, eventually I had to have surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So much pain that when your functional medicine and chiropractic doctor is like, I won't even touch you until 6 months after surgery.
Yeah.
He was Einstein brilliant, and literally had worked at a women's clinic in Europe for many years also. So he's like, I've never seen a case of this. I do believe in the miracle of healing can happen anytime, but on a
Take
more
care of it. Yeah.
level,
Yeah.
right? He's like, I've never seen this go well. You really need surgery. So I was in so much pain at that point. I succumbed. It was easy. It was easy to surrender to that at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was.
Yeah. So that
Anyway,
kind of began your journey into the path of yoga, and then specifically more focused into spinal decompression.
I'm sorry. I was in yoga for many years. So I used to work, also my background in my degree is in kinesiology, kinetic study of the motion of the body.
Yeah.
So after college, I went as a personal trainer to very, like at the time, the nicest fitness center down in DC. So, this is like early 90s, early mid 90s, and yoga wasn't really popular yet. But because we were like a really nice fitness center, we had other options, like higher end and other options available to us,
Yeah.
right? Two yoga teachers, and they were phenomenal, really well studied and practiced and committed to their mission. And so I was introduced to yoga in general, like different styles like hatha yoga and some other styles since my mid 20s. But that's why I was like going to this yoga day, like, oh, let's go experience some new stuff.
Yeah.
Now I'm introduced to the power of decompressing the spine through a style of yoga that lasered in to releasing tension at that core level.
Wow, I didn't realize that you'd kind of followed this, I guess, interest or calling in this pull to the physical expression. Like I didn't even know that you had done your degree. I guess I met you quite a time after that. So that's so fascinating because it's like woven throughout your life, right? And then you started doing this real estate thing. Like us all, right? We get pulled into different directions because we're like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. But I guess I'm guessing that I'm speaking for most people when I say that many people are overworked, and that creates disconnection with our physical health and our emotional health and our psychological health. So having a regular practice or a practice where you can reconnect with your body is super, super important. But I want to find out more specifically about what this decompression yoga is. If you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about that.
Sure, yeah. Well, can I put a period on the end of the story
Oh, of
too?
course you can. Yeah, definitely.
Because it'll tie in
Oh,
also.
yeah.
So I go and have surgery,
Yeah.
right, for endometriosis, and then I start going septic.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Back in the hospital. This time I'm overnight I'm there for 4 days, getting my life saved. So that's why I'm saying, like, gosh, there is such a place also for the Western medical model,
Can you
right?
remind us what going septic means?
It means your body is like going toxic. Like it's not getting it. There's
It's not
an infection
cleaning.
that's
Oh,
taking over. You're going toxic. It's invading your blood. You're literally on a
yeah.
slippery slope. So thank God for the 1 week later check-in, right? Because that I'm I'm also it's because Western medical model isn't my primary go-to. I I don't slide into that real quick. So right. So my on the check-in, my doctor was like, "You need to go back to the hospital," and I was like, "When?" He's like, "Now." And then at that point, I finally was like, "Yes, I do," because I can barely walk. Right. So
Mm,
now I'm rehabbing myself, like trying to work on healing myself, and I, I'm not going to say going to real estate was a pivot, like a
yeah.
mistake, right? Because I learned a lot of things. We can't if we look at everything's by design, right?
Yeah.
But it also wasn't my primary mission. So
Mm-hmm.
I knew if I kept doing it, I was going to end up sick again. So took my kitty, went to the beach. We stopped at some farmers markets, got some good food, and we went for a few days. And there's a hub for
Mm-hmm.
this style of yoga down there at the beach I went to. And
Mm.
I was literally like, you know, the kinds of yoga places, but it was very clear I'm supposed to go here. And so I went,
Mm.
and I'm just gonna tell you, it also wasn't like rockets going off. That class wasn't like I didn't understand why I
What was
was there.
going on? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it wasn't like, wow, that was so great that time, right? But I went home
Mm-hmm.
because I had been working so hard. I literally didn't have I didn't want to I wanted to relax at the beach,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I literally was like, God, you just tell like I need a break. I want to enjoy the beach. I don't want to be ruminating over this all the whole time. So you
Mm-hmm.
just tell me what to do and I will do it. And
Yeah.
so the training is something called swarupa. And so God came in and was like, Swarupa. And I was like, what? Because here I am reintroduced to it again. Like I
Mm-hmm.
lived in that style of yoga
Mm-hmm.
then. So I was like, what? Swarupa. Swarupa. Yes. I was like,
You're like, hmm.
and within less than 2 months, I just, went and started my training. And so, a little side note from college, I was actually pre-physical therapy, but
Yeah.
I got really sick then too. Like, look, all these illnesses, right? Like guiding.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so I did really bad, and my counselor was like, "You're not going to make it to PT school, sister."
Sorry, sister.
I literally got a 1.8 while I had mono.
Oh, wow.
I
Wow.
didn't know, like put it on pause and come back and do it. And I don't like to go back and do that. I always want to go
Yeah.
forward. So I just switched to kinesiology.
Mm-hmm.
Now fast forward, 20 years, and here I am in this spinal decompression training.
Yes.
And after my second training, I was like, I finished early at one point. I was like, just thinking about stuff. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is my PT.
Yeah.
This is it, except better because I know my PT friends were so upset with all the paperwork. They want to just work with people and not have so much paperwork. And they
Yeah.
want to work with their mind and their spirit. And I'm a holistic girl, so I need all three, right? So
Yes, definitely.
yeah. So this the first training that I took, I was still seeing the chiropractor 3 days a week.
Mm.
A lot of pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, actually, it wasn't the first one. After my first training, I kind of dawdled with it.
Yeah.
I wasn't in any pattern for it yet, but I was signed up for actual yoga teacher training. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that if I'm committing all my funds and time and effort, energy, I better actually do it. So I
Good idea. Yeah. Yeah.
well,
The investment. Yes. Mm-hmm.
yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm committing to it, but I'm not committing to it.
Yeah.
Like I was just like doing it willy-nilly. So a month before my teacher training, I started doing it every day.
Mm.
And a magic of magic, I found myself not going to the chiropractor at all that month. And then I end up in, like 9 days of teacher training.
Mm-hmm.
I get in the car to come home, and I'm in my normal pattern.
Yeah. Leaning over.
His head
I'm
forward.
like sitting up. Mm-hmm.
No, I wasn't. I
No,
wasn't.
I am. Like when
Yeah,
you're
no,
talking, I'm
no.
like,
Yeah.
extend the spine. Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about that too, by the
Yeah.
way. But I literally now had the contrast, right, of freedom and openness and spaciousness. When your body's not tight, it doesn't get pulled out of alignment, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I went into that old pattern, but now I have the contrast of what I had been doing very intensely for the last 9 days and the whole month.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this doesn't feel good. The biofeedback just boom, kicked in because I'm not so tight that I can't get it through, right?
Yeah.
I've opened information's flowing through me now. I'm actually picking up on it. I'm hearing it and I'm responding.
Yeah.
So I just literally, I don't even know if I could even get my head all the way back before because it was tight, right?
Yeah.
So I got on the phone. I called my functional head chiropractor doctor, and I was like, I need a reassessment. And he's like, I can actually get you in tomorrow morning. I was like, perfect. He reassessed me. He's like, you have self-corrected your neck. I used to have a lot of trouble. Like, I had a 6'4" boyfriend, and kissing him was painful. I had to help hold my head. And
Wow.
yeah, I was like, I know. I trust me. I'm living this,
Yeah.
And then in my pelvis, so your tailbone is the tightest part of your whole body, and
Yeah.
that's paradigm shifting for a lot of people. They don't know. Most people aren't aware of that. And so your pelvis is hard to get changes because it is so tight,
Yeah.
right? So this is your tailbone. You get a 1/4 inch change here, and if this is your, neck and head, with just the lever of it, lots to change up here. A little bit of change in your tailbone, like 1/4 inch, you get an inch of change up in your neck. So
Yeah.
that's why.
It's like the echo, right?
Yeah.
That's felt all the reverberation goes all the way to the top.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then out to all the extremities.
Yeah.
And then it comes back down. It becomes a positive feedback loop, essentially.
Wow. The nervous system as a positive feedback loop.
Or it can be negative if you see it
Yeah,
that.
that's what I'm saying. I think that most disease, most discomfort in the body is that the nervous system has become a negative feedback loop. And people are dealing with the symptoms, and not necessarily the core issue. So that's why this work is so interesting to me. Because a lot of us, I mean, honestly, want to outsource our health to doctors, and doctors are great, for certain things, like you said.
Thank you for saving my life.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like when I broke my leg, I was so happy that they could, take care of that for me, and help me out, heal that. But yeah, was something you said about PT and the Western schooling of physical therapists and people that work with the body. It's so interesting because it's kind of because of the mindset of Western medicine is specifically dealing with the physical body, that a lot of PTs I've met who were schooled in that, it's not that they're not aware of our emotions or our spirit, but it seems like there's a disconnect for them. So I was, yeah, just to give you an example, I was working with
Sorry, go
this
ahead.
physical therapist, and she was doing some fascia release. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm like, what? You're like the first uh, physical therapist I've ever found that does this. And I'm like, why don't they teach the physical therapists about this in school? You know, and she's like, it's just not in their frame of reference yet, but it will be.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's what I was going to mention is like their schooling is very physical, body, matter based,
Yeah.
right? And it's that, and that's okay,
Yeah.
right? This is an important thing to study. But when we start taking it in isolation,
Yeah.
when we're not, this is a collaboration of cells working together to create you and me and all of
Yeah.
us. Very unique thumbprints, unique, right? Snowflake uniqueness of combination of these cells, and they're having all these experiences and working together, innervated by energy,
Yes.
experienced through emotion and feelings. And you can't extract one thing. Like I wouldn't want to work with just the mind either.
Yeah.
With just now energy, I might consider, like I'm always going to use the intuitive sense about anything when I'm working with people, but energy is what creates everything. So I can see working with just energy to create a change sometimes,
Yeah.
right? Because the body's literally like my leg's broken,
Yeah.
bend it back, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You do need to focus on just the body, but then the energetics and the mental emotional piece can imbue the healing process
Yeah.
after the bone is put back together,
Mm.
stabilized, right?
Yeah.
So it's to take one piece. That's why I was so grateful, right? Because then to be able to work unencumbered, like I had carte blanche to work on in all arenas because nobody was saying you couldn't do that. You can't work with their mind. You're not a psychologist or something,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Like that's part of the restrictions, right? In Western medicine, it's very specialized, and you can actually get in trouble for that, right? That's not your specialty.
And I
Yeah.
mean, I will caveat, I don't have that training. I have other training though that works with the mind,
Yeah.
and I can share any of my tools in my toolbox. So the fact that spirit, I had to wait a long time to
Mhm.
circle back and have other parts to my journey come
Yeah.
through. But the how, like literally, I was like, oh my God, this is my PT. Like I recognized it. It was a beautiful thing. When your spine is open,
Hmm.
it's huge. So I know a lot of people tend to come, the impetus to come do this work tends to be, I'm in pain.
Yeah.
There's some sickness. I want to dance and not think if I put my foot down in this way, like I'm gonna jack my back,
Yeah.
or my hip or my shoulder, right? Because the spine, everything comes off of this. This is the tree trunk, right?
Yeah.
Because everything comes from there. And when we have our favorite activities, be it you want to play with your grandkids or you just love hiking like you stop joining them because you can't do it anymore or
Yeah. You get frightened that you'll hurt yourself more. Yeah.
Mhm. And then you're not moving, so it less movement begets less movement and oftentimes to more weight and
Yeah.
but the big picture is that yes, that your body is making you come into pain as a feedback mechanism,
Hmm.
that that something's out of balance.
Yeah.
And in this case, physical tension in the this is the core command central, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And the spine. So when something's out of balance, like people will say, well, I have a bunion. and they want to treat the bunion.
Yeah.
But really, that bunion tracks back to the spine because there was a tension pattern that pulled your hips, like I'm using my shoulders, but you can imagine
Yeah.
like
Your
something's out
hips.
of alignment. And now instead of landing on the flatness of your foot, it jacks your leg. So now you land like this all the time.
And then you get a bunion.
Then you get a bunion.
And if you don't correct that and you remove the bunion, you're just going to get another bunion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's just so interesting because I'm thinking about all of the symptoms that people report having, and how that is really related to spine health,
Mhm.
like everything, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's so big picture. It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
when you have spinal tension, it causes you like something tight, right? That's how muscle works, is it shortens, right? Now it's
Mhm.
tight. You can feel how dense that is, right, on your
Nice
muscle.
arms. Hmm.
Then look, I'm not using my tricep, so right, it's soft, it's ready,
Yeah.
it's
Supple.
ready to be
Yeah.
used, right? But when something's super, when it's not open,
Intention. Yeah.
the muscle will tighten, right? And this is like I can't go any further. And that's when you like take a step and you give out,
Hmm.
right? You fall, or maybe you do fall. Some people fall because
Yeah.
they let it go so bad. Like, and partly is they let it go so bad because they need to know about this practice. So it's like, thank you for helping me get this out here.
Yeah.
But when we are tight, we actually get short, like it shortens, right? Even our whole stature.
Yeah.
So, and then this becomes the negative feedback loop because as soon as my head's out in front of my torso, this is like
Puts,
a bowling ball of 8 to 12 pounds.
yeah.
And if I asked you to hold a bowling ball out here, you wouldn't last very long, right?
Yeah. Puts stress.
But we do it with our posture all the time. And it's not that, well, let me put another paradigm shift in here. Posture is natural when your body, well, any posture, this is natural.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not effective, right?
Yeah.
But good posture is utterly natural. It's you coming back to your God self. It feels so amazing to not have to create it.
Hmm.
What they're doing is they're tight, so they get out of alignment, and then
Yeah.
it feeds more tension, so we get more and more and more and more, and then we get old. Oh, we're getting older. No,
Mhm.
we're getting more tight. You're patterning and layering the patterns in.
And
And
cutting off like that life flow of energy to your body. Yeah.
but this is, you asked me like, how does it affect everything? Well, when you start becoming short and your whole torso start like, oh my gosh, I wish I I wish I had it right next to me. I
Yeah.
got a toy. Remember those toys where
Yeah.
you pull them out and they pop, 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 and they come long?
Hmm.
Spinal decompression does that.
Yeah.
Or then you could push them together and they're real squat and short. Oh gosh, I wish I had that right next to me. It's so fun, right?
Yeah.
That's what's happening. But you're now expecting the organs of digestion and reproduction and elimination, assimilation. Like you're expecting all these organs, respiration, all of them to function.
Yeah.
No, but they're under duress. They're under compression, right? So
Yeah.
I have clients that, yeah, they come for pain and then they're like, uh,
My skin has improved. My hair is thicker.
yeah, but things like, I mean, this is personal, but it's like, if you're in menopause, I'm lubricating
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because like you're not cutting yourself off. Ooh,
Yeah.
tension. We reliably release this
Yeah.
tension. This is very Newtonian. If I took a hammer and threw it through the wall, there would be a hole.
Yeah.
We take your body and we put it in different positions and we use blankets to meet you where your tension is. So you can actually like be in the pose for a little while. And then eventually the body gets the message and it's like, oh,
Mm.
I can let go, right?
Yeah.
Those muscle fibers open up. We lengthen into our natural, normal innate posture, not creating posture, because some people go, oh, I'm going to have good posture. Okay. Yeah, taking these muscles and tightening them.
Stressing those ones out.
So we add another layer of tension, right? Just posture. And you don't need to.
Yeah, and it's like the thing is it happens so incrementally and so slowly that there's something about the mind that doesn't even notice it happening. And then you're in it, and you get like this tunnel vision, and you're like, this is just the way it is, and I just think about how many people, including myself, are in that boat, of having, like, forgetting how it is to have a healthy spine.
Yeah, it's the whole, what's the phrase? I'm sorry, this isn't kind to the frog, but it's,
oh, yeah, yeah.
Hot boiling, and the frog doesn't know until
Yeah.
well, at least for us, it's not ever too late. Okay.
Yeah.
But because we do have this biofeedback system inside through our nervous system that's like, ping, woo, got your attention,
Yeah.
So it does speak to, and that's why, we really get to just getting to this place as I learn more about rewiring the brain and stuff too. I'm studying with another doctor about that. And when we can stop judging, like before we got on this call, you were reading me some things, and one part of it was about judging, like not judging things.
Yeah.
And we are like, sometimes we don't know all this biofeedback, like you were just talking about, because we literally are like, nope, I'm gonna ignore that pain. I'm not going to acknowledge that pain. And it's like, this pain is a gift, guys.
Yeah.
If you didn't have pain, you wouldn't know that something's wrong, that something's out of balance. There's disharmony.
This really reminds me of what you were saying earlier, like you were doing your degree and you got mono, and then you're overworking in real estate and you get this endometriosis. It's like these healing crises that life itself is asking us to wake up, and it's so severe. It's like you don't get like, like the way you've been living is no longer sustainable. You cannot do that anymore. But hopefully, that like, we don't need to have such dramatic or traumatic events for us.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, some people do.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to be, bopped over the head.
Definitely.
I've been there with some things in my own life, right?
Yeah, all of us have. Yeah.
But that is actually a mission for me. That's part of my mission. Your mission evolves, right? And so it's very much, yes, I work with people who are in pain, right?
Yeah.
I've taken people from a 10 out of a 0 out to 10 or 1 to 10. I've taken someone from a 10 to a 0 in one session. That doesn't happen every day, but it has happened, right? But what I love is, and this is why I'm like putting out this call now, like for sovereignty seekers, like people who like they want to use their body to the best of their potential, right? They're these holistic health trailblazers. Like, if I knew what to do, I would do it, right? And because our spine, and this is a big part of it gets to be shared.
Yeah, of your work in the world. Yep.
Yeah, but the fact that we actually need spinal self-care. And it's not like we hear about chiropractors and we go sometimes, or we go a lot, or we don't go. Or, okay, we have massage therapists, but who's coming to your house at 10 o'clock at night when you're in pain and you need to get a good night's rest for the next day?
Yeah.
Unless you have a lot of funds and a lot of influence, you probably aren't going to get anyone to come over and take care of you. You must be able to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And just because you go to the dentist and they clean your teeth, it's not like, my teeth are clean, woohoo,
Yeah.
It's the same with the spine. We maintain our teeth. We get to maintain this precious equipment that controls everything in our whole being,
Yeah.
right? With decompression. So it's just that we're not going to ever get out of tension. Tension is part of the dichotomy of life,
Yeah.
right? I love one time too when I heard someone speak. I think maybe it was Tony Robbins too. He was like, tension creates the orgasm,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard that too. You know, it's like,
No, but I'm just like, you're right. It does.
right?
Yeah.
And that's why the tailbone is so important, because this bliss,
Speaking of bliss.
right?
Yeah.
And when we're tight and we're out of balance and it can't rise up.
Yeah.
So
The
yes,
energy.
let's get out of pain because it's distracting from life and it's telling you you're out of balance. But who you are is the consciousness of the creator itself. And it's held down. It's all over your body, but the experience of that is blissful
Yeah.
and peaceful. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it is held in the tailbone.
Yeah.
This vestigial thing we don't need anymore. It's like, how do you know we don't need? You know, we need that tailbone, baby. We do.
Yeah.
So I think I've gone from one topic to the other, so I don't know if I
Yeah,
completed.
we've covered a lot of territory here, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's like um, beginning to be able to receive that we all deserve to feel good in our body and not just sometimes, but all the time. That's why I like your little tagline, which is to go from resist to bliss, which is our natural birthright. Yes, yes, and yes. And so we have probably just about 15 minutes left, and I'm curious to know. I know you're always working on different offerings and different services for your clients, um, but I heard, I heard from a little birdie that you are in the process of launching a new program. And I'm not quite sure the extent of it, if it's like nothing you've ever offered before, or if it's like it's probably, I'm guessing, a collection of all your best work, like greatest hits.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Um, well, you know, as you're in business, you analyze things and you got to figure out how to present things that will work for people.
Yeah.
You can't stay in my over here. This is how I want to do it, right? So I started doing a bunch of research in the last 6 to 8 weeks, just asking people what they actually wanted.
Yeah.
and and so what I did is I pulled out, well, first of all, let me say this. It was such a joy to start hearing people say things like what I said earlier. If I knew what to do, I would do it. I haven't found the thing yet. Like maybe I made a stride forward, but it stopped, or I forward and backward, or you know, and I'm not where I want to be yet.
Yeah.
And I get that a lot. I get those folks a lot. So, you know, to be able to hear that they want to heal themselves, like they want to be empowered. And I have this phrase called empowered.
Yes.
The changes are in,
Yeah.
right? It
Side of
all
us.
happens there.
Hmm.
And so that's been my branding that I've put out, and but not you know, completely, I guess, or like repetitively, maybe I should say it that way.
Hmm.
So it kind of became obvious, like this is the empowered program.
Yeah.
Right, for spinal decompression. And this is about, because ultimately there's about 30, you know, I don't know exactly how many, 28, 30 poses that are the foundation. They're the bedrock, like our tailbone, right?
Hmm.
The bedrock of reliable spinal release.
Mm.
And so I thought if I can just teach this, there's a lot more to learn. 188 poses, a lot more to learn. And and work and see how we can move our body. But truth be told, I've been doing this 16 years. The foundation of my practice are these poses because they reliably release the whole spine, tailbone, sacrum, waist, rib cage. That's what we don't have to worry about, as I just showed earlier, right? I don't
Because
have
it
to.
automatically, yeah.
Yeah, it's a reaction to the what's the foundationally underneath it. So we get the changes automatically that way. And this is sensitive equipment, so I'm not trained for that anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
So, this program is that primary practice, this foundational piece. It's a 28-day journey, in part because that's what I did. I proved to myself in 1 month, when you do this regularly, what can happen. It was jaw-dropping, and to have proof from it from my doctor.
Yeah.
The science part of me is like, wow.
Validated, yeah.
It was validated and validated and validated.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's what we're doing in this container. And
Awesome.
I mean, and look, we don't have to be in pain because we need spinal self-care, right?
Well, yes. And then I'm just thinking, like, haven't looked at the statistics lately of how many, just like, say, in America, for example, how many people report being in some form of back pain. And what is available to them is a cycle of pain medication, surgery, and then like PT for 6 to 8 weeks. And then, yeah.
Shots. Yeah, until
And
you're
shots. Yeah. And I know this is a very common story for a lot of people, and they don't even know that anything else is available.
Yeah, that's my journey. That's why I'm rearranging things so I can get it in a package. So the program is in beta, so it's really great opportunity for people. It's not a free beta, it's a paid beta, but it's off right now. And it's once we get this out, because even spinal surgeons will say there's some people, they're just not good candidates even for surgery.
Yeah.
I really want to get to that space where they're aware of me.
Yeah.
Right. And we were talking about PTs earlier. They get continuing ed credits.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if I will offer that at some point, but like your PT studied the fascia. Yeah. This work actually works on the fascia also, by the way.
Well, yeah, because it's all connected. Yeah.
Everything's fascia. Your skin has fascia, the muscles have fascia. Yeah, but when you hold something, it takes some time. Fascia being such dense connective tissue, its job is to hold things together. So it's doing its job, but it kind of it can be a little over the top, right? So, but it takes some time for it to get the message. We create results that are quick with the practice. I teach it in a way so that there's something called a marker pose. We do that at first. We release the spine. Then we do the marker pose at the end. Because I don't want you to, I want you to trust me to get started, obviously. Yeah. Some trust. Okay, she's been doing it 16 years. She's been studying the body for 30 years. She's, that energy. Yeah. But I ultimately don't want you to have to think that you have to believe me on anything. You're going to have experience
in your body.
Yep, that marker pose, when you release in the middle, 99% shot, you're going to be different. Sometimes people don't. So when we're tight, that, we need to let that awareness, the conduit of consciousness, actually open and let you become aware. So we're changing in consciousness in this practice, but sometimes that needs to catch up to, oh my God, that's right. Look at me. I'm actually turning my head now instead of chunking my body over, right? This is the one.
Yeah. Because you're not even aware of how you're moving in your body because you had to disassociate because it was too painful. Yeah. And so this is what I wanted to say. It's like a lot of times when you're hearing about programs of physical activities that you're explaining, the most important part is that you're reintroducing awareness into your body, which is consciousness, which is life force. And so it's not just a physical pose, it's shifting your awareness as well.
It can't not shift.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, some of it you're aware of, obviously.
Yeah.
Some of your awareness and consciousness is kind of laying and waiting for you to
Notice. Like, hey.
Well, you can't even notice it because it's too tight.
Yeah.
It's cut off.
Yeah.
Right. So when we take these muscles and we open them, we open those conduits of consciousness, and that information flows through. Then we're cooking with fire now. Like, whoa, it's a whole new ball game. Which is why it's great to be in a container, because sometimes you don't know what's going on with your body. You can't even believe. Like, do you think my old client who, when you're, just to be personal again, right? When you're not lubricating, and that affects your relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You don't want to be as connected to another person, much less you're not even connected to yourself. You cut yourself off. It's being mirrored now on the outside world with your connection with your beloved, or, someone who had her IBS was getting better.
Yeah.
You can't leave your house because you don't know what's going to happen when you leave.
Yes. And these are things that people don't even want to talk about or share because they're so personal. And then I would imagine like all the self-blame and the negative self-talk, and you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me, and there's no help, and blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, just right at the fundamental level of health is this work, which is priceless, right? Because it's like reinvigorating your vitality and remembering the truth of who you are, which is health and wholeness, right?
Exactly. Like, call it the word that you want to call it.
Yeah.
Call it life force because maybe you're not relating to the word God, or you want to call it God because that's your thing, or the creator. You can't separate. I'll just use the word God's here. God's creation from itself. You can't separate from that.
It is you. Yeah.
Right. So it's time we know ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. That we unleash ourselves from constraints and smallness. When we're small, that the pain is trying to tell us, you're too small. Like, be you, be authentically you.
Yeah.
Power.
And there's so many levels of this, like, our inherited trauma, our DNA, like all of this, which we don't have time to go into today. But just survival, like intelligence that's working through our bodies that we might not even be conscious of. But life is a mystery. It's miraculous, and we are that mystery. So I love it. I love the work that you're doing. I love that you came here to share it with me and the listeners today. And I just want to let everyone know that I'm going to put all of Chandra's contact information in the description of this podcast today. So if you want to connect with her and find out more about the wonderful work that she does and her new empowered beta program, all of that contact information will be there. So with that being said, Chandra, I want to just thank you so much for joining me today. It's such a pleasure to see your beautiful face and connect with you. So thank you.
I want to thank you too. I really appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Mwah. The Mutual Admiration Society is here. I love it. All right. Toodles. Later. Bye.